Hey, what's up everyone? Today is going to be something a bit different. I've never done a video like this before. It's basically going to be a top 10 kind of video, or I don't really know if it's going to be a top 10 or just a general 10. I don't really know how to categorize it. Forgive me if there's not enough information for each number, but go easy on me because this is my first ever time doing it and I'm like a bit of a noob. And I just thought it would be something fun to do, and my friend actually suggested it to me. Saying that I should probably try and do like a top 10 video, and I thought it was a really good idea and I've been thinking about it for a while, so here is my first top 10 video, which is 10 strange urban myths that are actually true. Number 10. You should never stop a sneeze. You know how people say your eyes can pop out of your head if you sneeze and don't blink? Well, that's not actually true, but if you ever need to sneeze, you should just let it out and catch it in some tissue. Trying to stop the sneeze can actually burst an eardrum or even crack a rib. This was actually quite annoying for me because for the last few weeks I've been having really bad hay fever because there's so much pollen in the air this summer, and I've been trying to stop every sneeze by blocking my nose, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been getting some headaches from it. So yeah, that's great. Number 9. Someone safely landed a plane in the middle of Manhattan 2 times. Crazy airplane landings always get people's attention. Captain Chesley Sullenberger's landing on the Hudson River in 2009 would be an excellent example of one of these heroic feats of skill. But a drunken pilot's landings in Manhattan in the 50s seems to have been forgotten. In 1956, a pilot by the name of Thomas Fitzpatrick had a few too many drinks at a bar in northern Manhattan and ended up stealing a plane from a New Jersey airport and landing it next to a bar he had been drinking at. The plane was landed almost perfectly, which is saying something considering it was landed in the dark at 3 in the morning and he had taken off without lights or a radio. The New York Times called it a fine landing. But this wasn't the end of his drunken stunts. 2 years later, in October 1958, he told the story in a bar. Understandably, no one believed him, so he thought the best way to prove it was by doing the same thing again. He took the plane from Teterboro and landed in front of a yeshiva university in the dark again. He was reported to have jumped out of the plane in a grey suit after landing and ran away, but later turned himself in. But what? That's got to be like the weirdest situation to ever witness. If you're just walking along in the street and you suddenly see a guy land in a plane, jump out in a grey suit, run away, and then later turn himself back in. I don't know, that sounds weird, but yeah. Both times he was charged with wrongdoing and his antics eventually stopped. Number 8. Thomas Edison was afraid of the dark. Yep, the guy who revolutionised light was afraid of the dark. Who'd have thought? I don't really know what else to say. Good thing he invented the light bulb. Yeah. Number 7. One man's last meal was one singular olive. A man called Victor Feger kidnapped and killed Dr. Bartels in an attempt to gain access to drugs that would normally be used to treat patients. However, he was soon convicted of the crime and was sentenced to death in 1963. When asked for his last requested meal, he simply wanted one olive with the pit still inside. Some people say go big or go home. I guess he thought go small and die. Yeah. Number 6. Fahrenheit is very rarely used in most countries. To any Americans watching, you're actually in the minority of countries that use Fahrenheit. The only other countries that use this measurement are Belize, the Bahamas, Palau, and the Cayman Islands. Everyone else uses Celsius. It's just kind of better, really. Number 5. A student mistook 2 maths problems for homework and made mathematics history after solving them. The legend says that the student was actually worried he wasn't doing too well in class and had been working on some homework for hours the night before a test. He overslept the morning of the test and arrived late to class to see some maths problems on the board. He completed the first 2 with ease, but the last one seemed almost impossible. He continued to work on it until just 10 minutes short of the deadline, he found a way that would work and finished just as the time ended. He handed the work in, and that night he got a call from his professor asking if he had noticed what he had done. The student felt some relief, as he thought he might have just got the questions right, but he was soon shocked when the professor explained that the last problem was not supposed to be completed, and was just an example of an equation that no mathematicians could complete, including Einstein. And it turns out that this so-called legend is actually true, and it's just retelling the story of a student called George Dantzig. Honestly, I really don't like maths, so I wouldn't have even got the first 2 questions right. If there's any mathematicians out there that want to go big, you never know, this kind of thing could happen to you. Number 4. I Have a Dream was not part of Dr. Martin Luther King's original speech. MLK Jr. is actually one of my favourite historical people. Yet it wasn't until recently that I found out his famous I Have a Dream was not actually prepared in his original speech. The phrase was actually said to have been inspired by a singer called Mahalia Jackson, who told King to speak about the dream to the crowd. Martin Luther King then decided to quickly add it into his speech, and now we have one of the most iconic speeches of all time for equal rights. That was a good shout, MJ. Number 3. The hanging man in a funhouse was an actual corpse of an outlaw. In 1976, a camera crew from Universal Studios arrived at the New Pike amusement park in Long Beach, California to film an episode of a new action TV show. Whilst preparing the set in the corner of the funhouse, one of the workers removed the hanging man before one of the prop's arms fell off, revealing a human bone. This wasn't a prop, this was literally a dead body. The body was an outlaw called Elmer McCurdy who robbed a train in 1911 and was killed in the pursuit that followed. He was embalmed, which is basically preserved, and was used as a sideshow attraction because the undertaker of a funeral home thought he looked so good. People would come to see the bandit who wouldn't give up, and nickels were placed in his mouth by visitors. No one ever actually claimed the body, so he ended up just being used as no more than a prop in a funhouse. Number 2. The Pentagon is prepared for a zombie attack. Remember the Zombies map 5 on Call of Duty Black Ops? Well, it turns out that's a genuine fear for the Pentagon. The famous headquarters for the US Department of Defense actually has plans to address what would happen if zombies began to attack. I personally think a zombie outbreak would be kind of cool, so I can kind of see where the Pentagon are coming from. Well done, Pentagon. Well done. Number 1. The 8th president was the first American president. Martin Van Buren was actually the first president who was born as a US citizen. All of the presidents before him were actually considered British. Big up the UK, bruv. Well, thanks for watching that, guys. That was my kind of top 10 countdown thing. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Like, I've wrote down loads of notes here for it, and it seems like I haven't said enough, like I haven't explained enough. So if you guys want to give me any feedback, then please do. If you liked that kind of top 10 thing, then I'll do more in the future. Because I want to kind of not get away from reacting. I still want to do reactions, of course, but I don't just want to be doing reactions. I want to do other stuff as well, and then I want to progress eventually. I'm still a really new YouTuber. I've only been doing it for like, what, 3 months maybe? So, you know, I'm still kind of stuck. I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, that was really hard to like find some of those like facts. It's really hard, like harder than you expect. So I have a lot of respect for people who do top 10s and stuff now. It's hard. Like having that much information for each number is really, really difficult. Like some of them, I just don't know what else I could possibly say about them. But, you know, if any of you found it interesting, then give the video a like. Dislike it if you didn't like it. Comment any suggestions, any top 10s, any reactions, if you want me to do any more top 10s. And like I said, this is my first time, everyone, so please go easy on me. Don't be too harsh. This is my first time. Yeah. But I will see you next time. Will it be a reaction? Will it be a top 10 countdown? Will it be to something different? Who knows? I will see you then. Simples. Peace.